Hey guys, Jen here. So I'm doing this video. I said I wouldn't do any more, but this actually relates to all my videos on the channel. I'm pondering getting a new cell phone in my own name this time, maybe ordering it from online. So I want to tell you the drama with that. When the abuse started, the whole, I call them sessions that had to do with this kickoff event that I dealt with, like I said, there was a 3-day period where my phone was taken away. I had trash thrown on me. It was just vulgar. And there was 2 cell phones involved at that point. One, I had done my due diligence, and that's the thing. I don't think my spouse told these people that I used to work at a cell phone company as a tech. So I can tell when my system is being rerouted and things like that. It's very funny that every time I call a shelter or a church or anything on this phone, any office, I get this person named Jessica. Every time. For the last 3 years. That's weird. That's just not normal. They also sound the same. I worked on a cell phone telecommunications before I was a tech. I did incoming billing and technical calls. And again, so I know, when things are happening in that manner. And so I did my due diligence, and because of what was happening to me, I went through his cell phone and found a lot of information. He said that it was calls for work, but it was awfully funny that he took me to work with him one night, delivering food, and he didn't have to call anybody. But he says he has to call these people to let them know that he's there, blah, blah, blah. So anyway, I found this woman in his cell phone, Jasmine, and I actually tried reaching out to her because, again, I don't think anyone should go through this, and it's obviously going to become an MO for him and people like him. So I don't want to see anyone else go through what I went through. I'm not mad at the women. I'm upset at him. It seems like our whole relationship was fake. And I'll get into that at a later time. Everyone around me is military. Everyone but me. Everyone I meet, everyone I talk to, even when I was growing up. Everybody's military but me. That's weird too. So I found this information in this phone, and he said it was nobody or whatever, but he got very mad, and of course that first phone had to be thrown in a sink full of water, which of course he denies now. Everything that's happened, everything he says, he denies even occurred, which is messed up, because when it's just me and him alone, why is he denying things like that? And but then there are certain innuendos that are made when he gets home about things I said that day, or emails I sent, or texts I sent. He'll bring up these same topics. That's a familiar pattern of a narcissist or an abuser. They try to intimidate you and let you know that they know what you're doing without coming out and saying it. Again, there's that plausible deniability. So the second phone, he had taken off of me and went into the half bath in the downstairs. And he was fighting with me and arguing with me. And I said, look, just give me the phone. I got to tell so-and-so not to bring her baby, because I was babysitting for a girl I had worked with at that time. And I knew that, like, the bathroom door was open. There was no lock on it. And again, that was new. That had just happened recently. I forget what happened, that it was taken off. And I poked my head in the doorway, and he looked at me. And there's videos of this right after it happened, where I explain what happened. And you can see the tape on the door. The blue tape was at my height. And when I poked my head in the doorway, I said, just give me the phone so I can text so-and-so. And he looked at me through the mirror, and he kicked the door. Now, if it was an accident, you kick it and it bounces and it stops. But he kept pushing, and my head was in there. That's how I got a concussion, and by pulling at my head, I almost pulled my own ear off. I had, like, allegedly 13 stitches. Now, it was funny, the woman who was giving me my stitches, and the hospital was spookily empty that night. It was very strange. This was probably about a year before CV started, and the woman asked me, she said, can I put this stitch in here, blah, 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 again, seeking that consent. And I don't know why she was asking me. She had already started working, and it was like the last stitch. And I was like, well, yeah. I'm pretty sure there might have been, a chip put in or something at that point. But anyways, and I think it's connected to the cell phone somehow, because you have that thing where something you're thinking of pops up on your cell phone, or you go to search something and it's right there in like the search engine, like it's ready to come up as soon as you type one letter in. I know this sounds weird to people, but again, there's this pattern with these cell phones. So that cell phone, I forget what happened to it after I was injured like that. I know he took it and he erased everything on it. Now, everything's usually backed up in my Google folder. Funny, that woman's picture and name were the only things missing. Again, I know what's going on there with people having other couples, and of course being inspired by royalty, as his mom posted on his Facebook. Again, every one of them is like mimicking somebody in the royal family. A certain couple, Harry and Meghan, and I think that's what he did. He has his Meghan. And because I think what we're facing now is, I did some research and I found stuff on Mandela, and I don't want to even talk about this because I know people will, have things to say. And everybody should know me by now at this point. I don't discriminate against anyone for their outer appearance. It's how they behave. It's, are they trustworthy? Do they say things that are trustworthy, or are they deceivers? And deceivers, they lie on purpose, and they all have to, like, do something online or whatever to show their allegiance. And when I was searching Mandela, and I might do a video on this if I can find it again, everyone who won a Nobel Peace Prize, most of us know at this point, this world is inverted and the opposite. Everybody so far who's won a Nobel Peace Prize has been somebody that's, like, killed thousands of people in the Middle East with, like, drones, for example. One of our POTUSes, he won that award, and it's just, it's just backwards. And so Mandela won an award, and I was looking him up, and I guess he is all about racial cleansing. And at this point, I think it's happening to single Caucasian people who are not a part of a couple, who cannot have children, who are of a certain age, who are religious, who are independent thinkers, traditionalists. Like I said, it's not just going to be one specified group of people. But I'm like in like 5 of those groups. I'm on disability. They consider me a throwaway person at this point. I've tried getting work again. Nobody will hire me. So anyway, the next cell phone I got, I had a head injury, mind you, and I was severely abused at this point. And they had made me like go through this ritual of like, tell yourself how horrible you are, look in the mirror and tell yourself you're not a good person. And then, bow down to me, that you should get on your knees and beg me for forgiveness. And so like I went through all of these things, because at that point I had fell to their temptations. I had used a substance and then did things way out of my character and had a little bit of lost time. And strayed on my so-called husband. Come to find out, we weren't married in the church, so he's actually not my husband. And there actually really isn't a real marriage license out there. Anyways, I won't even get to that. He has relatives who work for the system, and they work in that office, the title office. So, yeah, there's that. So the next cell phone I got at the dollar store. And this girl that works there every now and again, not all the time, which again is weird. I went to buy this phone and it wouldn't ring up. She's like, it's all right, I'll go in the back and get you another one, when there was a few more sitting right there. So she had to go in the back and get this phone specifically for me. And when I get it and I open it, there's a text on there from a son to his father, allegedly, talking about pain medication or something. So I knew the phone had been used, number one. And then I got my settlement for disability around the same time, of course. And I was seriously guilt-ridden at this point. I was seriously abused. And if you know anything about abused people, for a long time, maybe forever for some of them, they become really subservient, and you get like this Stockholm syndrome for your abuser. And that's how I was feeling. And so this settlement, I started spending it on him. I bought him a car, which again, I couldn't be there to actually hand the money to the person who took it. He said, well, here, I'll go to this other building. You give me your money. Your husband can come with me and watch me. And you stand here and get the title. Yeah, okay. I don't even think that he had to pay for that car. I think these people get vehicles. There's also an OnStar microphone in there that he doesn't have OnStar. So, but anyways, back to the cell phone. I went to a hotel one night. I said, let's go to a hotel away from, our young men and just let it be you and me. And he picked a fight. He started a fight with me and ends up taking the phone. The next morning, I had to use the hotel phone to try and beg him to come get me, or to call his mother to come get me, because I'm like at this hotel that's a couple of miles away, and it's a long walk for me at that point because, again, I have a serious head injury that I'm trying to recover from, and I'm still being heavily abused and manipulated during this period. So that cell phone had to disappear, and I get home, and I'm like, why did you take my phone again? Where's it at? I go downstairs because my son is down there, and he has it hooked up into the wall with some type of charger. I don't know. And again, there was all kind of things in the basement, like a computer tower and extra computers that just happened to be given to him by family. A bunch of phone lines that were hidden by one of his music posters. I did videos of all this. I documented all of it. I still have those videos. I'm not publishing them. They are mine in the event that something happens to me, and somebody, or, maybe authorities who actually are doing their job can have those videos. So everyone's saying like that I'm not a TI. This is very painful for me. I'm a human being. I've been with this man since I was 17, and to find out that he's with somebody else, probably has kids with them. Her children look just like my son. And she was from Florida. When I went down to Florida, she was moving up here from Florida, which again, this is all very strange to me. I don't understand what it meant at that time. So this is what has gone on with the cell phones. Anytime I buy a new one, it has to disappear for a period of time, and something is done to it. So I'm going to buy another phone. And if you'd like to help with that, Sammy's link is in the description. I don't usually ask for help. I doubt that I will get it in this instance, but if you'd like to help, because I'm going to buy one online from a company that I know he doesn't have nothing to do with, because he ordered me one from Spectrum, and I had said I don't want it, and finally said, oh, okay, I'll take it or whatever. And he hugged me and was like, it was like a little, again, this is an abusive tactic is positive reinforcement and negative reinforcement. When you do something they like, you get a pat on the head and a hug or whatever. And at this point, again, I'm still recovering. I'm still kind of a mess. And he's like, oh, I'm so glad you let me do something for you, which is completely out of character. He doesn't behave that way, or he never used to. This is all new. His whole demeanor with me, everything has changed come 2017. And it's a pattern. His cousin also had several women. A couple Caucasians, a couple not Caucasians. Again, there's a reason for this. And I'm all about, like, I don't care who is with who. I want to see people loving each other and loving their children. The problem with this is, again, it's all been planned and orchestrated. I knew this was coming. His best friend who was around and put the tape on the door, the blue painter's tape again, so he would know where my head was or whatever, and when to kick the door shut. Because again, this is a pattern. He knew how I would behave. And his best friend had told me, in a year, you and I are going to be enemies. And we are. Like, once 2019 hit, everyone, and you know this, you guys know this, they were telling us not to gather, not to be more than six feet together, of course. And this is when people openly, like, change their behaviors. And you know this. I don't have to have confirmation from this. I've seen a lot of videos about this. I've talked to a lot of people online about this. The problem is, though, is I don't want my cell phone controlled by anybody else. And the fact that I'm paying for it is just kind of sick. I'm paying for this treatment to be under surveillance. I'm paying rent, And I'm only paying rent at this time because I have 3 dogs that I love dearly. and I don't want to leave them. They're my responsibility, and that would go against my conscience to just up and leave them. Also, my one son is still here, and my hope is that he'll see these changes that I'm making in myself, and he'll understand that he has free will and that he can say no to this at any time. Even after everything that was done to me, even after being violated in this house. It's very sick that they're taking money from me. It's very sick that he manipulated me when I got my settlement at a point in time when I could have just left. I could have taken my settlement and just walked. Excuse me. Again, this is very painful for me. I was very in love with this person. I believe our meeting was set up as well, so that I would think I was picking him when in reality, my mom was kind of giving me to this family or whatever because I had dreams that occurred, because, I have whatever that gift is. I've asked God to take it away. It's not stopped. I've stopped any and all occult activity. It still hasn't stopped. So again, some people just have certain abilities that they're born with. Anyways, I think that's why I am treated this way. This is why I am corralled into a certain area. And I would just ask that if you'd like to help, I'd like to get a different cell phone from a company that I know they're not affiliated with, because he always discouraged me from using them. And it'll be a pay-as-you-go, but a lesser-known pay-as-you-go company. I've never had any problems with them. So if you'd like to help, the link is in the channel About section, and I can put it in the description here. This is Archangel Michael defeating Satan in the end times. And these people, they chose their side, and they're saying that they're godly. And again, these people accuse you of everything that they do, and then they're posers. They pretend to be like you, when in reality, they're not. And you can tell this. If you watch them long enough, you can pick up on the deceptions that's coming out, because they tell on themselves. And again, people will say, oh, you're being judgmental. Look, just because I'm a Christ follower, we are not supposed to be deceived. We're not supposed to allow ourselves to be deceived, and we're supposed to have discernment. You're not supposed to let just anyone into your life. And if you see that somebody is toxic or there's red flags going up, you're supposed to avoid them. You pray for them, you love them, but that doesn't mean you have to be near them. And that doesn't mean you have to affiliate with them. I'm not going to affiliate with users anymore or abusers online. I cannot help my living situation right now. It is what it is. I love my dogs, and I'm not just going to leave them here. When my dogs are hurt, every time I assert my free will, one of my dogs ends up sick for a few days. My littlest one was sick last night. He's also my oldest one. He was shaking. His head was swaying. He was vomiting and behaving a lot like somebody had kicked him or something. And it's not the first time this has happened. And anyone that's a real TI knows that your animals are targets too. They know that you love your animals, and it's sick. They actually want to see you cry, and that's perverse. I don't know what's happened to these people. I did a live last night. If you haven't seen it, you should definitely watch it, because we found some things together as I was filming the live. So if there's anyone out there who's actually my friend and enjoying the videos and enjoying the channel and is, supporting and encouraging, you might want to watch that live stream, because again, I love people. And I'm airing all this not because I'm a rat, which has been insinuated by my husband. There was a rat in the tax office. Really? Somebody took a rat in a tax office, and I just happened to have to sit outside because of CV restrictions. It's all BS. It's all about money. These people are funneling money. They're moving people around the country. They're taking children from their parents and giving them to people who can't have children. It's all very perverse. That's where you get the orphan trains from. So, yeah, it's disgusting. They're monetizing people, and I really don't want to be a part of it. I do not consent.